Hello and welcome. It has been quite a run for Idaho politician Dirk Kempthorne. From Boise mayor back in the mid-'80s and a time of rebuilding for downtown Boise. From there to U.S. Senator, where as a moderate on Capitol Hill, he championed Endangered Species Acts, as well as water issues that have plagued Idaho and other western states for over a century. From there to governor for nearly 2 terms. Nearly because after a presidential nomination, Kempthorne was approved by the Senate and sworn in as Secretary of the Interior on May 26th. Although his appointment is only for 30 months, Kempthorne has decided not to simply keep the chair warm for the next secretary. In his words, he's a relief pitcher, called into action in the 7th inning with men on bases and power hitters coming to the plate. Secretary Dirk Kempthorne is looking to throw strikes as the nation searches for answers on issues involving alternative fuels and drilling, water rights, species, Indian affairs, and public lands. A big job, one that he says he is eager to tackle. Secretary of the Interior Dirk Kempthorne, next on a special Viewpoint.
This is an exclusive Viewpoint presentation. Kempthorne, the first day. And now your host, Mark Johnson.
Welcome to the show. Think back to your first day on the job that you have right now. Getting to know your co-workers, getting acclimated to your workspace. Well, we got that opportunity to follow the Secretary of the Interior in an unprecedented behind-the-scenes look at what his first day on the job was like. As you're about to see, it might be a little different than you would have expected. Eager moments for the Department of Interior staffers who waited on the steps of the department for the arrival of their new boss. Assistant Secretary for Water and Science and Idaho native Mark Limbaugh was among them.
This is an exciting day, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's a great day, Mark. Dirk Kempthorne is going to be one of the best secretaries I think that we'll see for many years. He's got a lot of energy, a lot of drive, and understands the issues that we deal with. So we all think he's going to do great.
For you as an Idahoan, it has to hold a special moment in your heart as well, knowing that you've got a fellow statesman here coming to work in the same building.
It's great to have worked with Governor Kempthorne, now Secretary Kempthorne, in the past, and I certainly look forward to working for him and with him on the issues that are important to Idaho and the rest of the nation.
For lack of a better word, I asked some people on the steps if they had gotten a little more spiffed up knowing that this was the Secretary's first day on the job. They said, no, this is the way we always are.
Yeah, right.
Good morning. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great.
We are glad you are here.
Well, bless your heart.
Thank you. Thank you.
Feel good. Yeah.
Yes. Welcome to the party.
Thank you all for making me feel so welcome. You're awesome.
No day one for any government employee in Washington can fully begin until the government badge. But the trip to credentialing and security would not be a quick one due to the fact that everyone wanted to meet the new secretary.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Nearly a half hour after his arrival, the secretary gets his picture taken by the woman who, by the way, has been doing this for 30 years today.
Well, I understand today is 30 years.
Yes.
Tammy, could we get a picture?
Certainly. One more. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks for your wonderful, dedicated service.
This is the key for your place upstairs.
Okay.
And this is the key for the elevator.
Thank you.
You're official.
Keys to the city. All right, any tips first day for a new person?
Later on, we'll talk about
Okay.
From there, it was on to the auditorium to rehearse for his satellite address to the some 70,000 employees within the Department of the Interior.
For those questions that may be call-ins.
An hour after arriving, he makes his way to his new office. Made a bit more difficult given the broken left foot from that wrong step off the Boise curb while jogging. It would slow him down, but only a little bit on this 15-hour first day on the job.
This is, it's wonderful, yeah. Reception I received on the steps, I mean, that's kind of incredible. I'm the new guy, brand new, and throughout this whole confirmation process, they have all made me feel so extremely welcome, and it's been genuine. I'm told that last Friday, when the actual vote was occurring, and it was covered by C-SPAN, but when the results of the vote were announced, that you could hear applause and cheering through the hallways. I mean, that makes a guy feel awfully good. So.
Day one was heavy with meetings, conference calls, and photo ops. But before the deluge, he took a moment to talk with me about the magnitude of this job, a position that involves dealing with issues in every one of the 50 states.
And add to that, as you'll see today, I'm also going to be reaching out and talking to governors from throughout the United States, who will also add to those issues, and mayors, county commissioners, tribal leaders, environmental leaders, conservation groups. It boils down to your resources. We have finite resources of people, of time, and of dollars. And it is, to the extent possible, inventory, identify all of those issues, and then begin to prioritize.
And the question on this job being simply a management arm of the White House, his opposition on selling public lands flies in the face of a plan the president introduced this year. He told me the administration welcomes an alternative view and an option on many of the issues involving the department.
I'm coming in the 7th inning. I'm the relief pitcher. And the game's been going for a long time. I'm not going to be given a lot of warm-up pitches. And you mentioned the challenges. So there's probably a few runners on the bases. This has been a very good series for the Department of Interior and for this president, but it still hangs there. And I'm going to come in and I want to make sure that it's a winning series.
And with that, the doors flew open, and his Chief of Staff, Brian Wademan, and Deputy Secretary Lynn Scarlett go over the day and potential issues he might face.
Looking through the schedule, we start with the ethics meeting that you asked for.
The Ethics Committee meeting is an important moment to get a refresher course on the do's and don'ts of a cabinet member. Given the recent controversy in Washington, this is an area Kempthorne does not want to take a misstep.
As we've discussed in the past, prior to events that may be coming up that we have questions about, I'm going to turn to you and I'm going to run it by you first.
During a 10-minute break between meetings, he takes me out onto his balcony, arguably the best view of any office in Washington, overlooking the National Mall, the monuments, and the memorials in clear view. It is there he will come to reflect and clear his head. Next up, an hour with the top assistants in the department. Assembled here are the most powerful members of America's air, land, fuel, and water.
I want to sit down and have those types of just candid, blunt discussions, where everything is fair game to be said in that setting. Because it's going to jog us and prompt us to perhaps think about a few things with a new idea, a new approach. It doesn't mean that we'll change direction or the course on something that this department has been pursuing, but it also may. But when we come from that, then we will know this is now the direction we're going. We have had good discussion, we have had consensus, we have had a decision, and now we're going to go together.
It's 10:45 now, and his first photo op with the press. A trip to the Washington Monument, which along with all the other national monuments and parks fall under his management. It is also here where local media get their first chance to talk to him about the assaults on the National Mall. 3 in the last 2 weeks, a rarity in Washington.
Well, and also, as the chief has indicated, we will adapt. This is not acceptable.
The answer seems to satisfy the local media, and so the impromptu press conference is brief, and it's on to the monument. Escorted by U.S. Parks Police Chief Dwight Pettiford and Park Superintendent Vicki Keys. Again, not an easy walk up the national path.
Boy, this sock's a little hot.
Thousands of school children from all over the country visit the monuments every day, and this day is no different. But as he observes the hustle to get the groups up the monument and out in a timely fashion, a thought comes into his mind.
Let me ask you this question. When you go to the Vietnam Memorial, there is a reverence.
Yes.
I mean, it's there.
Feeling,
absolutely.
Yes.
Once you get up into the Lincoln Memorial, you may get that, but it is not the same. Do you think there's some way, unobtrusively, that you can begin to get the right atmosphere so that it's not a race to the top of the stairs like a scene from Rocky?
Yes, I do, and we're working very closely with the Tour Guide Association and the tourism industry to try to explain the difference between the chamber, which should, I agree with you, have that very reverential feel.
Yeah.
And the bookstore that's located in the chamber.
Yeah.
We have plans to relocate that to the ground level.
That's
that
good.
might assist us.
I just think if somehow we can define it a little sooner.
The park police also include some mounted officers, and this Idahoan cannot pass by a former thoroughbred racehorse.
He's still a little bit, twisted in the head, but he's doing real well. He's brand new on the street, so we're putting him a little.
So when you refer to me as brand new, am I?
No, sir, not at all, sir.
Next stop, the top of the monument. A 60-second ride in the elevator to the top of this 555-foot, 122-year-old structure. And at the top, I have a quick opportunity to ask him about a national park, now Haynes Point Golf Course, which of course falls under his umbrella.
See that golf course right there?
Yes.
That is actually the only Department of Interior managed golf course. How tough would that be for, say, me to get on? It's Department of Interior property, that golf course right there?
It's managed by a concessionaire, yes, and on behalf of the National Park Service. It's one of 3 golf courses. And you wish to play there, it's absolutely not a problem.
You see,
I know somebody.
Mark has said that he would move heaven and earth if he could play there, and I've seen his game, and he knows how to move earth.
On the trip down, the elevator stops at the Idaho Stone on the inside of the monument, set back in 1928, made of marble and bronze. But from the back of the elevator, listen, you can hear the secretary ask for an end to this tour.
I better take her down. It's getting a little warm.
Okay, here we go.
Back at the department, it is lunchtime, but this is a working lunch, something he and staffers will do on a regular basis. This one with members of the National Congress of American Indians and their desire to get the Interior Department to act on their requests for aid. The lunch begins, as all of the secretary's meals do, in prayer.
Dear God, our Creator, we just ask that you...
The meeting is friendly and productive, with talk of continuing their communication. 1:45, and it's back to the office for another conference call. This with the national mayors and county commissioners.
This job's going to be so much easier when you get both feet.
You know, it really is. Let me thank all of you very much for joining us on this conference call. As I go down this list, I'm speaking not only to some outstanding public officials, but I'm talking to a lot of buddies.
And with that, it is the halfway point of day one, with governors, sportsmen, conservationists, and the Department of Energy meetings still to come. A day not unlike those that will follow over the next 2.5 years for Dirk Kempthorne, Secretary of the Interior. An incredible 15-hour day that started at 7 a.m. and wrapped up somewhere around 9, possibly later. Amazing. Coming up next, we're going to sit down with the Secretary and talk about his new position and how it just might affect us here in Idaho. Also, the events leading up to his confirmation, as our special on the new Secretary of the Interior, Dirk Kempthorne, continues here on Viewpoint. Welcome back. He was sworn in at the White House on Friday, and then his first day on the job on Tuesday. In between meetings on that first day, we got a chance to sit down with the Secretary and talk about the events leading up to his nomination and confirmation and what's left in his 30 months in office. Here's that interview, and as you're about to see, uncut and up close with Secretary of the Interior, Dirk Kempthorne. Boy, it's been a whirlwind couple of days since Friday. And you know, there was some joking going on in the, I was going to say in the newsroom, but it was also going on in the State House because of the possibility of the hold, and then the immigration package came up. I think Claudia said, would it be too late to maybe potentially move back in? I mean, you had to feel a little bit like that the last couple of weeks. but then it happened in a hurry. Talk a little bit about how things have gone since Friday leading up to your first day on the job.
Interestingly enough, if I can back up from Friday, just about 10:30, either Thursday or Wednesday evening, I had a call from Bill Frist, the majority leader, who indicated that he was going to invoke cloture because that would force a vote. The next morning, I spoke to Harry Reid, the Democrat leader, who said that he felt that things were now beginning to come together and move in the right direction. I saw Bill Frist Monday at the White House, and he said it was very interesting because your confirmation was used so often in so many of the issues, because it was, well, if you want to get this confirmation vote, then you need to get this issue moving, and you need to get, he said, boy, was your name being used a lot. I mean, that's all the behind the scene things. But anyway, Larry Craig, who's been always a great friend, but great advocate through this, and Mike Crapo in the Senate. But Larry called me Friday morning. He said, I think you should come over here, and because we're going to get to the vote on cloture for your confirmation. And I said, well, what time? And he said, I think 9:45. I said, well, ironically, that's when I was supposed to go have the cast put on my foot, but I'll come to the Senate instead. I mean, priorities are priorities.
Sure.
Went over there, and again, I did not go on the floor of the Senate. I felt it would not be appropriate. But when the vote was over, then they did invite me to come on and to receive the well wishes of a lot of friends in the Senate, both sides of the aisle. Then it was necessary to get the paperwork signed by the President. That was going to be, no one knowing just when this vote would come. Tony Blair was in town, and the President was with Tony Blair. Could they get to him before the President left for Camp David? I mean, all of this was up in the air. So Josh Bolton, the President's Chief of Staff, called me, and he congratulated me and said that he looked forward to administering the oath to me. He'd like to do it Friday, but if we didn't get the paperwork done, he'd see me Tuesday. Probably 15 minutes later, I got a call, could you please be at the White House in 15 minutes? They felt that they were going to get the paperwork signed by the President. So I went to the West Wing, waited in the lobby, watched as Tony Blair came through, exchanged greetings with the Prime Minister of England, then was told that we'd go into Josh Bolton's office for the oath, but we took a little diversion when the President's staff opened the Oval Office and waved me into the Oval Office. There was the President, there was Condoleezza Rice, and the President, I said, why are you here? And he said, because I heard you were coming over for the oath of office. And I said, rather than Josh's, we're going to do it right here in the Oval Office. So Josh administered the oath. As soon as that was over, Marine One landed on the lawn. The President delayed his trip to Camp David. Just, I mean, that's the sort of man he is, to wish me well. And it's been a whirlwind. You saw it today. It's busy, but it's fun.
Yeah, you enjoy it.
I do.
I mean, you are being whisked around seriously and literally every 20 minutes. And your new secretary is giving you a 5-minute warning card every 20 minutes saying you've got 5 minutes to go. And for somebody that has 2 deadlines a day, I'm thinking you've got 16 to 20 deadlines a day, but you enjoy this. You like this frenetic pace.
I do. I do. I mean, it is. It's invigorating, and here's the very nice thing. There are so many people somewhere in the United States that is hoping that this department, that this federal government, can do something that will help them, either help them with their own issue, their private property, species, their particular activities, the production of energy. I mean, they're hoping that it will be a responsive government. That's why I keep this kind of pace. because the issues are just innumerable, and we have just so much time to get the job done.
I mentioned in the earlier interview, and we'll use some of that, but again, this is a 30-month job, 2.5-year post, as I've been calling it. And during the committee hearing, Senator Craig said that you will shape the future of America's energy more than the Secretary of Energy. As an advocate of alternative fuels and that sort of thing, again, one of those, how can you make a difference? How can you make a mark in 30 months on the job when it comes to America and its reliance on foreign oil?
Because you can identify and tap some of the best thinkers that are both on the position of production, but also on the position of the environment, and get from those good thinkers the elements that can develop a game plan. And if you can put that game plan in motion, it can benefit this country for generations to come. But knowing, as you indicated, Mark, there's just so much time that we have to do that, and that's why this pace. But I want to have the whiteboard session with the leadership team here of this department. I also want to have, just as you've heard on these telephone conversations, I will have much longer conversations with a number of those individuals that we've talked with today, getting their ideas, getting their suggestions, trying to see how does this fit together, how can we shape this, and come out then with a definitive game plan, sell the game plan, implement the game plan, and put us on a course of action.
How much will that game plan be dictated by the administration? Some have said that in Secretary Norton's tenure, it was more of her policy was the administration's policy. You raised some eyebrows when you said you did not go along with the administration's policy of selling off public land to reduce the deficit, to fund rural schools and that sort of thing. How much will you hear from the White House about the direction that you want to go?
Sure. I have to be an advocate for the assets of this country that fall under the stewardship of the Department of Interior. And I will be that advocate in meetings with the White House, knowing full well that I'll make my best case, but when a decision is made by the President, I do work for the President. But until that decision is made, I think I owe it to the President to give him every vantage point, every bit of information that I've been able to glean as his representative on these issues. And I was so encouraged that on Friday when I took the oath of office, what the President said to me then, and he repeated it on Monday when I saw him on Memorial Day, I now want you to come back over here and sit down with me, and I want you to tell me what your perspective is of the Department of Interior now that you've had a couple weeks there. That I welcome that opportunity.
A couple final things, Mr. Secretary.
He has time for about one more question.
Okay.
We'll start the next conference.
Okay.
We want to circle back. You can leave everything set.
Okay. No, I'll just finish up with one final thing, and it's on a personal note. Patricia's situation, you know, Heather and Jeff are situated in Boise.
Yeah.
They're not going to be out here, obviously. Patricia now doesn't look like is going to end up in the Lieutenant Governor's office. Your lifestyle in D.C. compared to the way it was 11 years ago,
yeah,
much different.
Yeah.
And hopefully with two healthy legs.
Yeah. Well, it's number one, when Patricia and the kids were here for the confirmation hearing, after the hearing we drove back to our old neighborhood that we had lived in. I can't afford to purchase a house back in that old neighborhood. I mean, prices have really taken off here. So what's the upshot? Patricia and I found a very nice apartment. It's a one-bedroom apartment. For the time being, that's what we'll do. And you know, the kids will come out here and visit us just as often as they can. I mean, and we always want a place for the kids. But
that's part of public service.
Yeah.
And
part of public service here. And in the meantime, you say so long to Idaho after 2 terms as governor.
yeah, but not. I don't know. I guess I wouldn't say so long. I'd just say, Idaho, you're always with me, and we'll be back.
Obviously, Kempthorne's footprint on national issues will be made in the next 2.5 years, and only history will tell us if he changed the course of the Department of Interior. Obviously, the clock is ticking, and we are all watching very closely. That's all the time we have for now. I'll see you next week with another edition of Viewpoint here on Idaho's News Channel 7.
What's your favorite thing?
We've only been to one place so far.
What was that?
Lincoln Memorial.
Yeah, it's quite awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
We're at the World War II Memorial, weren't we? That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
and so, what are you going to see next?
I guess it's up to them. I'm not sure.
Did you see the mounted officers on the horse? Yeah, they're pretty awesome.
Heading up to the Smithsonian later.
And are you going to go in the Washington Monument?
I think that's where we're heading now.
Are you going to walk up the stairs?
Well, we're trying to talk them out of it, but that's what they want to do.
You want to do that?
Yes.
They think they want to do that.
I do.
Everybody should stand. Cool.
Still today, this is the tallest freestanding stone structure in the world, meaning no structural steel, the blocks are not bolted or pinned together in any way. The mortar works like caulk, but not like glue. So literally the only thing that keeps the building up is gravity.
And yet, 1884, no structural steel, and yet it must be very well constructed. I mean,
well, just don't push out against it. Yeah, it's very solid, very solid. Gravity so rarely fails, and that's how.
Rarely fails.
Yeah.